So I want to talk about an ethical dilemma, which is behind an awesome show and anime book series, which is called Death Note. Um, this is the first of many series of books, which it's anime books about this series called Death Note. It's a really interesting book, and interesting little read. It's like even the correct Japanese way of reading it, because you read it like this and it goes like this, so it's like backwards almost. Um, really cool looking book, and I just want to talk about the story that this book is. It's about a very like a straight A student named Light Yagami, and basically there's this, I guess, other universe where things called shinigamis live, and those are sort of like this weird looking thing. I'll try and find a picture of the Shinigami, which is called Ryuk, which is the one who, and Shinigamis sometimes have something that is called a Death Note, and a Death Note is a little notebook. It's like a supernatural notebook, and Ryuk decided to drop his into the human world because he was bored. It's basically what happened. And basically what that means is that, and that this is him dropping the Death Note into the human world. And let's see if I can find Ryuk. This is Ryuk. And pretty much, this is the Death Note, and pretty much what happens with the Death Note is that you can write down a name in that book, and he or she will die within 6 minutes and 40 seconds, I think. And you can write a cause of death, and if you don't write a cause of death, then he or she will die of a heart attack. You can write the circumstances, so he does end up testing it out, and finds out that it's real. And the dilemma, and I guess I'm not going to talk more about the plot. I guess I want to just talk about the dilemma, which is behind the plot. Let me find the picture. This is Ryuk, his face anyway. So he's kind of, Ryuk is, since he dropped the Death Note and Light picked it up, Ryuk is going to like basically follow this kid. And what happens there is nobody can see him except Light. Light is the only one who can see him. And what happens is Light starts killing criminals. Like he starts to write names in the book of criminals. So basically all these people who are in prison start just dying off of heart attacks, and people are just like, don't know what the hell is happening. And however, this private investigator named L, who nobody sees, but they somehow know very, very limited, in a very limited way, say that somebody is doing this. This is not a coincidence. This is not an accident. This is something that is happening, that somebody is consciously doing. So then they go on to investigate it. But the whole thing behind it is that Light wants to become a god in this whole thing, sort of. He wants to deify himself in being this new justice person, this new justice. He wants to be the justice. He wants to be the one who kills those who have harmed others. He wants to create a new idea of justice. He wants to have those who he wants justice to be done to those who deserve it, is what he wants. And he does that, and Ryuk is like, wow, this is really getting interesting, if you really think you're going to be a god and all this. And he's like, yeah, I know. And he just tries to be this godly figure. He tries to be a god and basically killing anybody who has wronged anybody in a really horrible way. And there's a moral dilemma behind this. that is it good that Light is doing this? Is it good that all those criminals are dying because Light decided that they should pay the ultimate price? First of all, who does Light think he is? Who gives him apparently Rio gave him the right, but what gives him the right to be that new justice? Secondly, is it good? Is it really to think? It's good to think about what the good actually is. Is it good that all these criminals are just dying? Light thinks it is good, but I'm not so sure. There's an idea of the value of a human life. The reason why actually happens that Light's father is a police chief, Yagami, who is working with L to figure out who's doing this, when the chief Yagami doesn't even know that it's his own son. Very interesting story, but there's this idea of the morality and value behind a human life that is just really, really huge. Which is why these days we don't lynch prisoners. We choose a certain few prisoners who have done horrible enough that they deserve a penalty of death. But we don't just kill somebody if they, did something horrible like, rape. We don't do that. There's still some value behind a human life. There's still some morality and moral value behind the human life, regardless of what that human life has done. So it's not a sure thing that Light is being entirely moral. I don't think it's also moral that he's trying to be a god, a new justice. So that's something to think about, I guess. Personally, I think. I haven't read the whole. I haven't watched the whole series. The series is on Netflix right now. It's in Japanese, but there's little subtitles. But I think it's a great story, and I'm going to keep reading it and keep watching it. And if I have any other thoughts, I will come back to you with it.